Do you ever feel like your days are just full of random tasks and activities where you feel like you're super busy all the time but not really growing in directed ways with purpose? This happens to all of us at times, and as unrelated as it may appear at first, it frequently comes down to how we approach skill development. How we approach learning new things that we believe are going to help us to improve the quality of our lives. So if you're curious about how these two things relate to each other, continue watching to find out. Hey guys, what is up? Welcome back to my channel. In case you're new here, my name is Mike, and I'm a Kung Fu and Tai Chi teacher based out of Boulder, Colorado. On this channel, I share inspiration and strategies each week around topics such as personal growth, self-care, and mindfulness to help you live a more masterful life that is both intentional and fulfilling. So if you're new here, please consider subscribing. Many of us come up with skills we would like to develop. For example, someone might say, I want to learn to play the piano. But unless that someone sets aside the time and energy to actually learn and practice, the chances of that person truly learning to play the piano are slim to none. If you've watched my previous videos before, you've heard me talk about the concept of safe containers. If we care about something, if we believe that something is truly meaningful to us, we must set aside the time and energy to cultivate that thing. That's because I believe everything of value in the physical realm requires time and energy to grow. For example, if we want to nurture a better relationship with our kids, we must spend time and energy with them to do so. Just hoping for a better relationship doesn't work. Another example might be that we want to improve our fitness. Same thing, we have to set aside the time and energy to go exercise. We can't expect to make progress if we aren't consistently putting in the time and effort. There are no shortcuts. We can't expect to go to the gym once every week or two, or only when we feel like it, and expect to make any meaningful movement forward towards our fitness goals. So going back to the example of someone wanting to learn to play the piano, if the person truly cares about that goal, they'll need to set aside time and energy each week to practice. They'll need to schedule practicing into their week. So let's say they commit to practicing 3 days a week, maybe Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays for an hour each time. It will be crucial for them to protect that time, to create that energetic container if they are to reasonably expect to make progress on their goal of learning to play the piano. But to take things one step further, now setting aside time and energy is great. Consistent action will always move the needle in some way. But here's the important part of this video. There's a difference between just setting the intention of practicing 3 times a week for an hour each time and really thinking about where they really want to be in terms of their skill on the piano at the end of a year, for example. It's a lot more powerful to set an intention that I want to learn 4 piano pieces by the end of the year, and I want to be able to play them from memory without needing any sheet music, and I want to be able to play the 4 pieces in front of my friends without making any mistakes. You can tell just how much more powerful the latter skill development goal is. One is sort of vague, where a person is going to put in some time and energy, but they're just going to see what kind of progress they'll make by the end of the year. It's kind of like going through the motions. Whereas the second is very tangible. It's very clear about the intention they're putting out into the universe. There's a lot more clarity because they have a concrete goal in mind. And having a concrete goal in mind is going to help challenge them and push them. This is very different than just doing an activity. Yes, showing up is important. It's often considered half the battle, but it really is just getting you in the game. Showing up is just giving you a chance to even play, but it's just a beginning. It's not going to really grow you if you don't have an outcome in mind, if you don't have a specific skill or level of skill that you actually want to acquire. It's one thing to say I want to do some activity to acquire some skill, but it's another thing to say I want this skill, I'm going to figure out how I'm going to attain it. That's why at my Kung Fu school I require my students to take tests at regular intervals, and these tests are standardized in that for each test, students must demonstrate certain competencies or skills related to their practice in order to pass. And so students have to set aside the time and energy to come to class and train each week, but because the tests are at set intervals and students have to demonstrate a certain defined level of skill to pass, just coming to class isn't always enough. Again, just showing up to class is consistently is great. That's more than what 99% of people are even willing to do and commit to. But sometimes students will have to practice in between classes on their own in order to be able to embody the skills they need to show at the time of their next test. And so this really points to two different mindsets when it comes to skill development. One is where you have a skill that you really want to develop and you have a timeline in which you want to achieve it. So not only do you have a clearly defined goal, but you're also managing your time and energy and your schedule to make it happen. And the other mindset is one where you're just showing up and doing an activity. With this mindset, you'll always be a dabbler and never a master. Mastery, whether it's mastery of a skill or mastery of the self, requires a person to commit to what they want to create or manifest in their lives. A master is someone who will create a way when one doesn't appear to exist, whereas a dabbler is someone that has a lot of initial enthusiasm when it comes to starting new things, but they quit or make excuses when they either hit a plateau or are faced with a challenge. They either aren't willing or just don't have the capacity to honor those safe containers. Personally, one of the main reasons I originally started Kung Fu was because a part of me knew I was becoming a dabbler. Besides playing piano for many years while growing up, taking weekly lessons, I felt like I was starting and quitting hobby after hobby. I would get really excited about something, go really deep into learning everything I could about it, but then somehow I would get distracted and move on to something else. So some part of me knew that I was really just playing at the surface of things, that by quitting when things got hard or when I got bored, I was never really developing a deep understanding or relationship with whatever interest or activity I was pursuing. And alongside piano, Kung Fu later taught me to keep going after the novelty of something wore off, to keep going even after hitting a plateau. In fact, both taught me that plateaus are inevitable and that they are actually the challenges that give us the opportunity for growth. These opportunities are actually an invitation to get to know ourselves better and to embody deeper levels of skill. There's a popular Bruce Lee quote that states, "I fear not the man who has practiced 10,000 kicks once, but I fear the man who has practiced one kick 10,000 times." A dabbler is a jack of all trades but master of none. Their energy is scattered, so while they may know 10,000 kicks, they haven't trained any of them to any real level of power or effectiveness. Whereas the master has practiced the same kick 10,000 times. Their energy is focused, and because of that, we can assume that they're much more likely to be highly skilled and effective in deploying that single kick. Alrighty, that's it for this video. Thanks so much for watching. I'd love to hear from you. Leave me a comment below letting me know if you're a dabbler or a master when it comes to skill development. And please give this video a thumbs up if you found it helpful. Don't forget to subscribe if you're new and would like to receive inspiration and strategies like this each week. Have a wonderful day, and I'll see you in the next one.